I'm a true believer, and I'm a firm believer of not requiring our kids to march. And for the simple fact that they don't want to be out there, I don't want them out there. And I think that in itself has made it so much easier for us. The students that I have out there, it's a choice for them. They bought into the program. They say, this is what I want to do. And we'll have some students that don't march for, they either play football or they're cheerleaders and softball, those type of things. But we have some that just choose not to, not really into this. And we give them a different assignment to fulfill the requirements of the class, and everything's fine with that. But because of that, it makes it easier to run rehearsals. Also, it's easier to make changes if you need to make changes. Say, hey, you chose this to do that. But that option definitely helps for us. And then getting the students involved with it. They've got to buy into the program. From an organizational standpoint, if we can get our kids to buy into the program, it has a snowball effect. Because if the kids are into the program, their parents are going to notice that they're happy and that they're into the program. The administrators have now noticed that the parents are happy and their email's not burning up from mom and dad complaining, so now the administrators are happy, and it just snowballs from there. Sometimes we find that within our program, especially with our different style of marching bands, sometimes the hardest people we got to get to buy into the program is our staff people that come in, especially if they come in from a variety of different backgrounds and those type of things. And in their group is parents. We depend very heavily on our parent group. You had the opportunity to go see David Vanderwalker's clinic yesterday on the 21st Band Booster Organization. It's just wonderful. And it really talks about tapping into the talents that you have. The days of passing the clipboard around at the Booster Club, maybe say, hey, I need someone to help us build a 20-foot prop. Most people aren't going to just dive into that and say, sure, I'll help you build this monstrosity of a prop that you need. I have no clue how to do. But finding out what the talents are of those parents, and something that you mentioned that we're going to start doing is giving out like a questionnaire at the beginning of the band season, and finding out what those, if you're going to describe yourself, what would you say? And you'd be surprised the talents that you find with people. And you isolate those talents. You say, hey, this person's going to be really good at serving our prop crew, transportation crew. If we really divide that up a lot, we give a lot of responsibilities to our parents, everything from chaperoning to the medical crew, helping get our equipment from A to B and uniform, all that kind of stuff. But as Alfred said, we're still the CEO of the organization, but being able to pass off some of that responsibility, but then on the same hand, making sure those parents know that they're in a service position and not an instruction position.
So we have anything they'd like to ask people while we're still in this area? You don't have to be shy. I wanted to touch on one other thing on the organization while we were Neil started with y'all, I just wanted to touch on it. And that was on student leadership. When I arrived at Veterans, I discovered that I had 105 students. We have no senior class. I had 105 students registered in 2 band classes, 2 concert bands for that year. And I had my first marching band rehearsal, and our marching band is completely volunteer. And I had 15 students show up, 2 trumpets and a mellophone, and no trombone back then. And organization became a very interesting question as to how was the board organized my students into student leadership. How was I going to develop student leadership? And I made a decision. We ended up with 30 wind players and 5 percussionists. 35 out of my 105 chose to march with us. 70 chose not to. And that made it a very interesting marching season for me. I will tell you, I did go home and cry a little. Because it was kind of interesting going from 200 to 35. That was a long way to go. But the good part about it was when they said, are we going to have section leaders? And I said, no, not this year. This year, we're all going to be section leaders. And the first thing I wanted to do was what Neil mentioned, which is get the kids to buy into the band and to buy into what we're trying to do. And the more organized I became and showing them direction, the better they became. And I really firmly believe that rehearsals ultimately always come down to whether or not the students buy into what you're trying to do and you're organized first. If you, I heard this from Dr. Ravelli, who I truly, honestly respect, who said that if you step onto the podium to conduct a piece of music and you are not prepared to conduct that piece, you don't know everything in it, then it is indeed the blind leading the blind. And if we step onto a practice field, we're not real sure what we're going to do today. We're just going to hope we get this figured out as we go along. It's the blind leading the blind. And the students can tell it in about 5 seconds. Would you agree with that, John? In about 5 seconds, they know that you're not together, you don't know what you're doing. And you'll lose them. You'll lose the good kids. That's the ones you invariably lose, are the ones who are bright, who know what's going on, and they're going, I don't want to do that. I had to convince a group of kids that it was okay to have 30 wing players on the field and five percussionists, and you can still be successful in a community that has 4 established marching bands. And my students, most of them came out of established marching bands, and it was a challenge, but they finally bought in, and that leads to the next point. That's what I thought. And that is, what is effective? We had a difficult time. We're very fortunate to have Mr. Watkins because he helped us with definitions on some things. I like to think of what is effective. I want to look at it in 2 different ways, if that's okay. First on is what is an effective rehearsal? You know, if you're going to be effective with your marching band, the first thing you better do is start having effective rehearsals. Well, I made the conscious decision at Veterans that we would do no marching band at all during the day. We don't look at the music, we don't talk about the music, we don't mention marching band during the day. If it's a voluntary organization, then it's a voluntary organization. We do all of it after school, and concert season starts on the first day of school. So that was a conscious decision I made. And I told the students that if we're going to be effective in what we're going to do, then you're going to have to help. And I said, you will decide how long our band rehearses. I told them, what I want to do each day takes 2 hours. We start at 3 o'clock. Now, it says on your schedule that we're practicing from 3 till 6. But we will be done as soon as my 2 hours of work is done. And you will choose what time you will go home today. And we never went home past 5:30. Ever. I told them that I was not going to yell at them, that I was not going to make them run laps, that we were not doing push-ups. This was their band program. It was so nice getting started on it, because, you know, I didn't have to undo anything. It was all like, well, whatever these crazy people will try it. And I said, if we're going to get done what we need to get done, you have to choose the kind of band you want to have. And they made the choice to go along with me and try it. And nobody believes me when I go. From the first marching rehearsal until the very last one, finally, on the last rehearsal of the season, I had to ask the band to be quiet during rehearsal. Finally. I did an entire football season without having to tell my band to be quiet. Isn't that incredible? It was absolutely incredible to me. And on the last rehearsal of the season, I said, do you remember the discussion we had back at the beginning of band camp? That this is your band, it will be as good as you want it to be, we will be as effective this year as you want us to be. I said, let's go back to set 15. 37 is we'll be able to go. If the kids buy into it, you can do anything you want with your marching band program. Until then, you're beating your head against the wall, and I don't think you're going to ever be effective, honestly, until they see your vision. I spent from May, I spent from April, when I first met my students, until July 15th, every time I saw them, trying to share with them my vision for the Veterans Band program, to get them to buy it. And all 3 of us are in 3 very different areas and 3 very different situations of what would be effective in a rural school. I was in Jeff Davis High School for 17 years. And honestly, if I tried to do a show that, and as much as I respect what Mr. Watkins does, if I tried to do that kind of show in Hazelhurst, Georgia, I'm not sure what the reaction would have been. I think my people would have thought I was on drugs or something. Because it would not work there. It would not. What's effective? What's effective is what keeps kids in your band program and gives you a chance to teach them music and make a difference in their lives as children. That's what's effective. And if that means that at Veterans High School they expect me my first year to do a patriotic show. So we did a 1978 patriotic show because that was, and I'm telling you, in my community they think we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Because I played the Air Force song at the end, in the middle of my show, right next to Robin's Air Force Base. What's effective? What will work in that community. You've got to know your community and judge what they think is effective, and then work for yourself and what you want to do from that. I think you have to base it first on your community and work your way out.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And you've got to do what works in your community. It's probably one of the most important things. I want to give you 6 points with regards to just something you may want to remember if you want to put it down. It helps you, not all of us, it's not hopefully that's how to help make your rehearsals more effective. Success in producing a quality product is a dictionary defines it. One, good time management skills are necessary. When we allow for students, when we use their times unnecessarily, when we get to rehearsal and something doesn't work, and we don't know why it's not working. So that means we haven't studied our drills, we haven't studied our music, or we kind of make it up on the spot. So they're taking algebra in the 6th and 7th grade now. Taking geometry in the 7th grade. We sometimes get confused with their behavior and their level of intelligence. Because they can be highly intelligent as goofy as all get out, and we just think they just don't know that they're serious. But the fact of the matter is they're digesting that, and they can intellectualize, this is wasting my time. And when a person, and anyone says this is wasting my time, we tend not to want to continue to do it. We'll be our fault. And we look up and we've got a young band again. Well, that means we're not holding our older students. That's what that means. Doesn't mean we always have a 10 plus of new ones. So we try to not allow students to stand around a lot in our band. They just stand around. We need to go over here and take 10 minutes to clean the formation, make the formation look good on this side of the field. Where the other 3/4 of the band is just kind of standing around. And then you got a discipline problem because they begin to talk, do whatever the kids want to do. So I call it the toy soldier position, the position of attention. Well, it's easy for us to call it the toy soldier position. We make them stand over here at attention for 10 minutes while we do something over here that we probably could have done 10 minutes before rehearsal, or a 10-minute break, or 10 minutes before school, or some other 10 minutes to minimize just standing around. And how many times do we do that? How do you get it cleaned up when something goes wrong? You've got to figure out another way of doing it rather than allowing students to stand around. There are myriad of ways we can do that. It's just time management. How to use some effective use of rehearsal tools. Metronome, electronic timers. We use a Dr. Beat in a lot of our rehearsals to make them efficient while they're going through muscle memory and learning what they're doing. It's an enhancement and it doesn't seem to hurt their overall musicianship. It's simply a metronome. Also, we got all kind of other tools, smart music tools that they can use, and all kind of recording devices that they can play their music off from, and video devices that they can learn to just kind of think out of the box and what kind of new tools can I use to minimize the amount of time that we spend doing this, so that the ownership is on the student to be able to achieve that. As Tom, marching band and after school has been a class, and it's been after school since 1986. There's always the fear of not getting it done. So what we have to do is be a lot more efficient. You can have students that come in and during a lunch period and watch a videotape of a football game or a videotape of a rehearsal. And they check off on a signing list that they have come by and they've done that. There's some semblance of accountability involved in that. And that will just help you to keep your from having to show it in class. And they can run it back and they can find their errors, they can find what they're doing, and rather than you having to do it all in rehearsal. The other thing is that we found that's efficient in our rehearsal. We've got a large band at the high school. I had a smaller band, I probably would do something similar. And we rehearsed simultaneous, we rehearsed the whole concept of marching band in separate entities. We rehearsed the music as a music ensemble. We rehearsed the marching around